They said I was never their father, so I stopped being one, and what they did next shocked me. My name's Ethan, just an ordinary guy from a small town where the biggest excitement was Friday night, football and debating which diner had the best burgers, my life motto. Work hard, take responsibility, and protect the ones you love. Simple, right? That's all I ever wanted. Steady job, maybe a dog, and someone to share life with. Nothing fancy. No big dreams of making millions or traveling the world, just a front porch, a cold beer, and someone who laughs at my bad jokes. Then I met Amanda. She wasn't looking for anyone. Her world had shattered when her husband, a Marine, never made it back from deployment. She had two kids clinging to her like lifelines. Tyler, a nonstop tornado of energy who could probably outtalk a morning radio host, and Chloe, barely old enough to say mama, but already developing the kind of side eye that could make you question your life choices. Amanda was barely holding it together, but there was this quiet strength in her eyes. It hooked me like the time I accidentally watched an entire season of The Bachelor because I couldn't look away. I didn't walk into her life trying to be a hero, honestly. Wasn't even sure what I was doing at first. It was little things, fixing a broken fence, helping her carry groceries when she had one kid on her hip and the other trying to launch himself into traffic. Somehow that turned into bedtime stories, soccer games, and Saturday mornings making pancakes shaped like dinosaurs because Tyler insisted they tasted better that way. Before I knew it, my weekends were filled with trips to Home Depot for backyard projects that never ended, and I could sing the entire PW Patrol theme song without missing a beat. I wasn't there. Dad and I never tried to replace him, but one night after a rough day of scraped knees, broken toys, and a dinner that somehow caught fire, don't ask, Tyler hugged me and said, "Love you, Dad." That moment, it changed everything. A year later, Amanda and I stood in front of a dusty courthouse judge exchanging vows, with Tyler as my best man and Chloe asleep in Amanda's arms. No fancy wedding, no expensive honeymoon, just a $20 bouquet from Walmart and a lifetime ahead of us. I worked my butt off to give them the life they deserved over time. Shifts, weekends, no vacations, private schools, Disneyland summers where we waited in line for hours just to meet a guy in a mouse suit, and Christmases that looked like a Hallmark movie threw up on our house. Every football practice ended with Taco Bell runs where we order way too many tacos, and every scrap canny got a C or Superman man Band-Aid. I love those kids more than anything, Amanda too, but love isn't always enough, and I'd soon learned that even the most perfect pictures can hide cracks so deep they can swallow you whole. I always knew raising teenagers wouldn't be easy, but nothing prepares you for the moment your kid, the one you taught to ride a bike and stayed up with during the worst flu nights, looks at you like a stranger. By the time Tyler turned 17, the sweet chatty boy who once begged me to play catch in the backyard had morphed into someone I barely recognized. Late nights out with friends, I never met that permanent scowl and the eye rolls that could power a small town. At first, I brushed it off. Teenagers push boundaries, right? That's what every parenting blog and late-night Google search told me. Chloe at 14 wasn't far behind. She ditched bedtime hugs for hours, locked in her room, glued to her phone. Even the dog started siding with them, probably hoping for some fallen pizza crust during their midnight kitchen raids. I tried everything, curfews, heart-to-hearts, even bribery. Nothing stuck. Tyler started calling me Ethan instead of Dad, like I was some random guy crashing on the couch. Amanda, she barely noticed. Her phone became an extension of her hand, always scrolling, always laughing at something her friends posted. When I brought up the kids, she just shrugged, saying they'd grow out of it. Our house, once filled with movie nights, burnt popcorn, and me losing every board game, now felt like a silent battleground. Tyler blasted music I was definitely too old to understand, and Chloe perfected the art of sneaking out. Even family dinners, the sacred time where we argued over who ate the last nugget, disappeared. Now it was Mira. Santiago. Microwave meals and I'll eat later. Started feeling like an outsider, and my own homework became my escape. At least spreadsheets didn't roll their eyes at me. I kept hoping Amanda would notice, would care, but her biggest concern was planning the next girls' trip to Vegas. The first real crack in our family came the night Tyler stormed in past midnight, reeking of cheap cologne and bad decisions. I confronted him, half expecting an apology, maybe even a lame excuse. Instead, he shot me a look colder than a Walmart freezer aisle and said, "You're not my dad." I stood there, frozen. The silence after those words hit harder than any punch. But what hurt most wasn't Tyler's anger. It was Amanda sitting there, not saying a word. There's a moment in every parent's life when you wonder if you're doing it all wrong. For me, that moment wasn't a kiki reflection over a beer on the porch. It was standing in the kitchen staring at a half-eaten pizza box while Chloe, with all the charm of a reality show villain, flat out refused to clean up after herself. Ask nicely, then not so nicely, and finally with that tone every parent uses when they're one dirty sock away from losing it. She laughed, said it wasn't her problem, and went back to her phone like, "I wasn't even there, Tyler." Ever the supportive C. Walton grabbed a slice and smirked like he was auditioning for the role of annoying teen number one. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "Why do you even care? You're not our dad." That line had haunted me before, but this time it felt different. Sharper. Amanda walked in right on cue, and for a second I thought she backed me up instead. She scrolled through her phone, barely looking up, and casually added, "They right, Ethan." I didn't say anything. What was there to say? I just stood there feeling like I'd just been voted off of the island that night, lying in bed next to Amanda, who was too busy liking vacation photos from people she barely knew. I thought about every sacrifice I'd made, the endless hours at work, the sleepless nights with sick kids, the dreams I shelled to give them everything they wanted, and for what to be a glorified ATM and the occasional handyman. Something snapped, not in a dramatic movie scene, way more like a quiet realization that if they didn't want me as a father, I wasn't going to force it. The next morning, I changed everything. No more paying for Tyler's gas or Chloe's endless online shopping. The car keys mine now. Homework helped not. My problem. Breakfast that morning was awkward. Chloe scrolled through her phone, planning her next shopping spree, while Tyler shoveled down cereal like he was training for a competitive eating contest. Amanda sipped her coffee, giving me that classic, "What are you up to now?" eyebrow raise, but she didn't say a word. Neither did I. The kids thought it was a joke. Tyler even laughed, betting Chloe $5 sick by dinner, but they were about to learn that I wasn't playing anymore. Life has a funny way of reminding you that nothing lasts forever. One minute Amanda was living her best life, Target runs that ended with cards full of throw pillows no one needed, McDonald's stops where she always ordered, a Diet Coke like that canceled out the fries, and weekends filled with brunch, selfies with captions about self-care without my wallet backing it. All up. Reality hit fast. Tyler, who once rolled his eyes every time I offered him a ride, now found himself squeezed between a screaming toddler and a guy who probably hadn't showered in days on the city bus. Chloe, who upgraded her phone more often than I'd change my socks, was stuck with a cracked screen and the horror of actually having to wait for Wi-Fi instead of unlimited data at first. Amanda acted like nothing had changed. She kept swiping that credit card like it was a magic wand. But magic has limits. And so did her bank account. When the Target cashier declined her card for the third time in a week, the cracks in her perfect little world started to show. She came home that day, eyes full of frustration, and for a second I thought she might actually reflect on how we got here. Instead, she lashed out at the nearest Target me. Amanda cornered me in the living room, her voice sharp enough to cut through my half-eaten bag of Doritos. She demanded that I step up, that I couldn't just abandon them like this. She threw everything at me: guilt, anger, the classic "after all I've done for you" speech. She even brought up the time I forgot our anniversary like that somehow, explained why Tyler treated me like a stranger, and Chloe barely acknowledged me. But I wasn't buying it. I asked her one question: "Why did you never stand up for me?" She froze, the fight draining from her face for just a moment, and then with a coldness that felt all too familiar, she said, "Because you were never really my partner, that was it." No, shouting no. Dramatic exit, just a quiet truth that felt heavier than any argument, and I realized maybe I was never part of their family to begin with. You'd think hitting rock bottom would be a one-time thing. Turns out there's a basement under the basement. After Amanda's words, the air and the house shifted. It wasn't just cold, it was hostile, and the kids, oh, they weren't going to let me off easy. It started small. Tyler accidentally spilling soda on my laptop during one of his didn't see it there moments, Chloe swapping my shampoo for something that smelled like wet dog, and regret, but petty pranks quickly turned into something more deliberate. One morning, I walked out to find deep scratches along the side of my car, the kind that made my insurance agent sigh loud enough to shake the phone. Then came the shredded work documents, papers I left on my desk now looked like confetti from a very angry party. At first, I thought maybe I was losing my mind. I knew they were up to something, and they knew about the security cameras. I wasn't stupid. Tyler had bragged once about deleting footage after sneaking out, and I figured they'd try that again. What they didn't know, a few weeks ago, I set up automatic backups. Every clip, every frame sent straight to my Google Drive. So when I checked the home computer and found nothing, I wasn't surprised. But when I logged into my drive and saw Tyler dragging his keys along my car door and Chloe gleefully turning my tax forms into paper. Snowflakes, yeah, I felt it. Amanda, she was in the background sipping coffee and scrolling through her phone like it was all just another Tuesday. Even my morning coffee became a battlefield salt instead of sugar. Classic. Hiding my shoes before work, sure, but replacing my deodorant with butter, that was a new low even for them. And honestly, who even thinks of that? I didn't confront them, not yet. Instead, I did what any exhausted, emotionally drained adult would do. I called an attorney sitting in that sterile office with cheap coffee and an even cheaper sofa. I laid it all out. The lawyer, a woman who looked like she survived on caffeine and sarcasm, nodded along, taking notes. She didn't flinch when I mentioned the butter deodorant. Guess she'd heard worse. When she asked what I wanted, I surprised myself by saying an out, and as I left, clutching a folder full of legal papers. I knew this was only the beginning. When you reach your limit, there's no dramatic music or slow motion scene, just quiet. Resolved the morning after my meeting. With the attorney, I printed the divorce papers and gathered every piece of evidence, the videos, the receipts, all of it. I left it all on the kitchen table, right next to the cereal box Tyler always left open and the half-empty coffee cup. Amanda never finished. No note, no explanation, just facts. And then I walked out. I didn't slam the door, didn't look back. I drove across town to a tiny apartment that smelled like stale pizza, and Broken Dreams signed the lease and moved in with a duffel bag, my laptop, and the sad little plan Amanda always forgot. To water the apartment was charming if you liked peeling wallpaper in a fridge that hummed like it was plotting, something my neighbors were a mix of night shift workers, college kids who thought 2 a.m. was the perfect time for karaoke, and an old lady with 6 cats, and no filter. My phone buzzed before I even unpacked Amanda call after call, each one ignored. Then the text started. Long paragraphs flipping between anger, confusion, and guilt-tripping that could win an Oscar. I blocked her. Next came Tyler and Chloe. Tyler's text was short, really wow. Chloe's was longer, filled with dramatic caps locked and more exclamation points than I thought possible. I didn't reply. I called. The bank closed. Our joint accounts froze though. Credit cards? Amanda's perfect world crumbled faster than a gas station burrito. I spent the rest of the day figuring out how to make instant ramen in a pot older than me. By evening, my voicemail was full. Amanda furious and desperate. Tyler calling me a coward. Chloe demanding her allowance even. Netflix emailed me about a mispayment. But it was Amanda's last message that stuck with me. You betrayed us. Betrayal. After everything, I stared at my screen, half laughing at the irony, but deep down, I knew this wasn't over. Life without me wasn't the dream Amanda imagined. At first, I thought cutting them off would be like pulling off a Band-Aid quick. Painful but necessary. Turns out it was more like accidentally supergluing your fingers together and realizing it too. Late Amanda, queen of treat yourself shopping spree and takeout dinners, suddenly had to face the terrifying world of budgeting. She picked up shifts at a local diner, the kind with sticky booze and coffee that tasted like regret. Her Instagram went from brunch mimosas to blurry photos of her work shoes with captions like hustle mode. Tyler, who once said school was a waste of time, decided to make it official and dropped out. I found out when the school called me, probably assuming that the dad who actually showed up to parent-teacher meetings might care. Chloe, the social butterfly, with a phone permanently glued to her hand, stopped posting selfies and duck lip poses scrolling through her socials. I noticed the silence. No more hard emojis from her friends. Just nothing. Bills piled up. Amanda's precious Target. Trips became dollar store runs. Tyler's gym membership gone. Chloe's endless online shopping carts abandoned. Even the Wi-Fi got cut off for a week, and judging by the meltdown that followed, you'd think they'd been stranded on a deserted island. Their messages to me changed too. At first, it was the usual. Tyler blaming me for ruining his life, Amanda calling me selfish, Chloe demanding her allowance like I was Amazon Prime. But then the tone shifted, the anger faded, replaced by something worse, desperation. Amana asking if we could just talk. Tyler too proud to admit he needed help, sending a half-hearted hey. Even Chloe in her own dramatic way just sending a sad face emoji. I stared at my phone, the weight of their words pressing down on me. Part of me wanted to swoop in, fix everything like I always had. But another part, the tired part, knew better. I spent years trying to hold that family together, and now for the first time I needed to figure out who I was without them, and somehow I knew they were starting to realize who they were without me. Regret has a way of sneaking up on you, like that leftover Taco Bell you thought was a good idea at midnight. At first, the messages from Amanda, Tyler, and Chloe were just background noise. I'd see the notifications pop up while binge watching old sitcoms or attempting to cook something that didn't come from a microwave, but then something changed it. Wasn't overnight. At first, it was Amanda's usual guilt trips, Tyler's passive-aggressive jabs, Chloe's demands. I could almost hear Tyler's exaggerated sighs through his texts. Amanda's messages felt like she was typing with one hand while holding her phone above a target clearance bin. Chloe's texts were, well, Chloe's dramatic, filled with caps lock and exclamation points like she was auditioning for a reality show, but slowly the tone shifted. Amanda's text got shorter, quieter. I miss you, I'm sorry. No more paragraphs blaming me for everything wrong in her life, just quiet, simple words that felt unfamiliar coming. From her, Tyler's sarcasm faded one day. Out of nowhere, he wrote, "I screwed up." 3 words that probably took more out of him than any gym session ever could. This was the same kid who once told me that apologizing was for people who lost. Bets and Chloe, the girl who once used text to demand new shoes or rides to the mall, sent a message that simply said, "Hope you're okay." No emojis, no drama, just words. I sat in my tiny apartment, surrounded by unpacked boxes, half-eaten pizza, and a plant I was somehow keeping alive. Against all odds, staring at my phone, wondering when the last time was that any of them had said something real to me. The silence in my new place was deafening, but for the first time, their words weren't just noise. Even my neighbors, the guy who played video games at full volume, and the cat lady who always smelled like lavender and regret, couldn't distract me from what was happening. They were reaching out, and part of me, the part that still remembered bedtime stories, soccer games, and late-night ice cream runs, wanted to reach back, but I wasn't ready, not yet. Because regret is easy change. That's the hard part, and I needed to know they meant it. Silence can be louder than any argument. I never replied to their messages, not because I want to revenge, but because I finally understood something. They didn't miss me. They miss what I gave them. The realization hit me harder than I expected. All those years, I thought love meant sacrificing everything for others. Turns out love without respect is just a transaction. At first, the silence felt strange. No more phone calls asking for money, no more texts demanding rides or last minute help. Just me, a half-empty apartment, and takeout containers stacked like a sad game of Jenga. I packed my bags, booked a flight, and landed in Los Angeles with no plan other than figure it out. I swapped PDA meetings for beach, sunsets, awkward family dinners for road, trips up the coast, and sleepless nights, worrying about bills for nights spent laughing with new friends over bad tacos. And worse, karaoke. I learned to surf, badly tried yoga, even worse, and discovered that happiness wasn't something someone else gave you, it was something you built for yourself. My mornings went from rushing to make breakfast for everyone else to lazy coffee runs where I actually tasted the coffee. My weekends spent exploring farmers markets, hiking trails I couldn't pronounce, and learning that avocado toast is in fact wildly overpriced. Tyler, Chloe, Amanda, they were my past, and while the memories still stung, I realized my future didn't need them. I wasn't bitter, just free. I got a new job, adopted a dog who snores louder than my old car engine, and even joined a trivia night that loses every week but somehow makes it fun. I laugh more in 6 months than I had in 6 years. If there's one thing I've learned through all of this, it's that self-respect isn't negotiable. Don't beg people to value you, don't cling to relationships that drain you. Walk away when you need to. It's not giving up, it's choosing yourself. And for the first time in my life, I chose me.